Just having a little bit of this rice pudding. Okay, so I've had quite a bit of it. Admittedly, we didn't produce the rice ourselves. That came from a supermarket. But the milk that we used in here, we produced ourselves. Welcome to Self-Sufficient in Suburbia for the summer of 2014. Last year we got some eggs which, instead of putting in the incubator, we decided to give to one of our hens to hatch them. She'd gone broody, and we thought, well, as an experiment, let's see if we can get one of our hens to hatch and raise some chicks. And we left her in the hen house, and after a few days 2 of the eggs were broken. And after 2.5 weeks we decided that she was getting so bothered by all the other hens that we'd move her with her eggs into a temporary run in the back garden. To cut a long story short, it was a disaster. None of the eggs hatched, and what we decided was that if we were ever going to do this again, we'd put a hen with her eggs into a separate hen house like we have here and shut off the other hens from her. So we've done that with Ginger, who is our Colombian blacktail, and she started to go broody, and we decided it's time to give her some eggs. These are the eggs. They are well summer eggs, so most of them are a dark brown colour, which is what we got them for. That's Ginger there, and she has been brooding the eggs for a week now. And this is actually the first time she's decided to come out of the hen house. And she's off for a wander. Now, the thing to watch out for when hens are brooding eggs is that because they're eating so little and spending nearly all day on the eggs, they do tend to get quite weak. So it's always useful to try and get them to eat whilst they're brooding, and to give them some water. Put the water right in front of them as well. Today we are at the Slaley show in Northumberland. Now, it's a first for us because we've never been to this show before, but there is another first for us as well, because we've put in for one of the honey competitions as well. We've also gone in, as you would expect, for some of the jam making competitions and a fruit liqueur competition as well. Now, we have no idea how we've done. We won't find out for an hour or so yet, but in the meantime we're soaking up the show.
Hello. Right. This is Dennis speaking.
It's called Quail House. Watch
Well, we're in the competition tent now where all the entries for the competitions are being placed, and I'm pleased to say we've actually won 6 prizes. Well, our first honey competition seems to have been a success because we have first prize. Well, these are the chutney entries, and there's my blackberry chutney, alas, without a prize-winning certificate. But we do have a second place for our marmalade. And here we have first prize for our blackcurrant and rhubarb jam. This is the rhubarb and ginger jam section, and we have third prize. Sadly, we didn't win anything in the raspberry jam section. And finally, all those years of fruit liqueur making have paid off. The first prize.
Nettle's in the lead, followed by Vixen. No, Vixen's overtaken her. Vixen's going to make it. Vixen followed by Nettle.
Well, there she is, and I'm just going to see if I can get her to... she doesn't like me doing this, but see if she'll let me have a look at the chicks. No, there are a couple. Now, there are 3 survived, and we had, again, a bit of a learning experience, because as you can see there's a bit of a drop from the nest box to the floor, and when the first couple of eggs hatched, the 2 chicks must have fallen out onto the floor where she is now, and so she went after them to keep them warm, which meant that the 4 remaining eggs got rather cold, and I had to break them open to hatch them. And unfortunately, because they were so cold, 3 of them died, but a 4th one did actually survive. So out of the 6 eggs, we've had 3 hatch and survive, and our learning experience next year is to make sure that they can't fall out of the nest box. 4 days ago, the eggs that we had in the hen house that were being incubated by Ginger, our Colombian blacktail, they hatched. And then 2 days ago, the eggs that we had in our incubator back home hatched as well. And we decided that it would be better for the chicks if they had an adopted mother. So last night I very carefully added the newly hatched chicks into the hen house with Ginger and her existing 3 chicks. Well, here we are in the Quail House now, and this was a rabbit hutch that we actually bought as a quail house earlier this year, just as a small quail house, or really a cage for them, and we had 5 quail living in here until a few days ago, when we finished the quail house and moved all the birds into here. We had 2 groups of them which we combined into one, but since then the quail have not been using this hutch. So what we're going to do is put the chicks into here, and then we're going to go and get Ginger and put her in as well. First chick, in you go. No, straight through the door. And here comes Mum. I wonder if she actually realises that she's got 8 more babies than she had last week. Not entirely sure what the quail are going to make of Ginger and her babies.
So around the top like that, you thumb with your finger,
Yeah.
and then just squeeze it out. Now I'll probably use just my middle finger maybe on the next finger, so I don't use my little finger at all because my teeth aren't that long. Right, as long as she's got food, she should stand there patiently. If she runs out of food, you might be in trouble. Pinch at the top with your forefinger and thumb, and then close each finger one at a time and squeeze the milk out.
We have come to a farm called Rising Sun, which is in North Tyneside, and this is a first for me because I'm milking a goat, and this is Pinky, a golden Guernsey, and we are going to buy her because, as I've mentioned a number of times, we need to fill one of the big holes in our self-sufficiency diet, which is our dairy supply. And this lady here produces up to 3 litres of milk a day, and obviously we have to learn to milk her. And after a rather shaky start, I think I'm just about getting into the swing of this, and we have nearly filled this jug. Now we're not taking Pinky today, it'll be a few days yet before we can move her and before we're quite ready for her, but I can now add to my list of things that I always wanted to do and have now achieved: goat milking.
Right, well, I've pulled this out, so have a little feel about this now, just to see what you do. So it's just a mix of minerals that are designed specifically.
Well, today we've come to Whitley Bay, and the reason why we're here is because it's a food swapping event that's been organised by the Workers' Education Association Green Branch in the North East, and I've been working with them on setting up this event. And the idea is that people bring their surplus food and swap it with other people for their surplus that they haven't produced themselves. So it's all about this sharing idea that I've been trying to press for some time now.
I've got another job at the daytime.
Well, it's been a very successful day, and as you can see, we have traded for all of this stuff here. We've got courgettes, rhubarb, we've even bought other people's jam, plants, lots of soft fruit, more courgettes, courgette, and bread and plants. So it's been really successful for us. But one of the people to organise this is Ruth Hayward. So Ruth, why was this event organised?
It was organised because there's a group called Food on the Tyne, and we're really interested in surplus sharing. And we're interested in surplus sharing because it's a way of allowing people to have, if they've got, say, a glut of something, say courgettes at this time of year, to swap it for something else. So some people haven't got gardens, get fresh courgettes. So it's a way for people to swap things, so there's less food waste, but people also get access to really local, fresh food as well. And it also really brings together people to talk to each other as well, so it's very sociable.
Yeah, so has it been a success?
Absolutely. I think all of us came not quite sure what was going to happen. We all felt a little bit like we didn't know what to bring to a swap a lot, so there was a lot of some pretty weird stuff people brought along. And I don't think anybody expected how much they would get in return. That was the thing that was really exciting about it. But also the conversations that you have with people, and I learned all sorts of things that I didn't know. I learned about worm juice today, and I learned about all sorts of things.
I had the worm juice conversation as well. I bought a bottle of worm juice. It cost me a jar of lemon marmalade. So now that we're home, we've had a chance to look through what we've bought today. So we've got homemade bread. I made a bit of a joke earlier about courgettes. We did pick up quite a few, but that was deliberate because we were after marrows, which we have there as well, and we use them for chutney making. Soft fruit, so red currants and black currants for making jellies. We've got some green beans there. We've actually got other people's jams. This is a pumpkin in a ginger syrup, and this is a rhubarb chutney. A plant there, some biscuits. This is a fertiliser made from a liquid that worms produce from somebody's wormery. And we've got chilli and pepper plants, cucumbers, turnips. I think we've got some rhubarb in around somewhere. Yeah, there's the rhubarb, and beetroot under the cucumber. We've got another chutney there, bag of onions, potatoes, and some peas. This is all that we've brought back of the stuff that we took out to trade with people. Half a box of jams. We took out 2 boxes with us, so we've got rid of nearly 3/4 of the stuff that we took. And we also took a basket with about 15 boxes of quail eggs, and the quail eggs had gone within the first hour or so. One of the things that we learned when we set out to be self-sufficient was that we were never going to be able to produce everything that we needed ourselves. So things like marrows and so on, we occasionally able to grow them, but frankly we're not very good at growing vegetables. We're good on the soft fruit and the jams and the honey and the eggs and so on, but our vegetable growing, we need a lot more skill to do that, and we found that it was easier and more interesting to specialise the stuff that we produce and then swap our surpluses with the surpluses of other people, and we produce things that other people aren't producing themselves. And in that way, things like the marrows and the other vegetables that we're not producing ourselves, we're able to get our hands on. And that was what that event was all about today. And I think it was a great success, and I'm looking forward to having more events like that in the future. I love the smell of sage. It's one of my favourite herbs, and it's probably more famous for going into sage and onion stuffing, but what we're going to do back in the kitchen is show you how to make a sage jelly. Into a jam pan, put your apple. Now most of this is apple core and apple peel from earlier this week. We made some raspberry and apple jam. Waste nothing. The cores and the peel have lots of pectin in as well. They've gone into the jam pan. We've topped it up with a bit more chopped apple to make sure that we have enough apple in there. And once you've got your apple in the pan, you then need your sage. Most of this is sage that we picked a couple of weeks ago. It's nice and dry. You can use fresh if you want to. We're using dry because we've got an absolute glut of it. Just need to get it used up. So that too goes into the pan. You then need to cover the contents in water and bring it to the boil. When it's come up to the boil, turn the heat down and let it simmer for a couple of hours. When it's had 2 hours of boiling, strain it through a jelly bag, and it's probably useful to just leave it straining overnight. It's now been straining actually for 24 hours. You don't normally need to leave it that long. Overnight would be fine. It's been a bit busy today, lots of other jobs to do, including having my hair cut. The liquid is now ready to be measured and to go back into the jam pan. When it's come to the boil, add 1 kilo of sugar for every litre of liquid, but keep the heat under it because you need to bring it back to the boil. When it's come back up to the boil, for every litre of liquid, add 2 tablespoonfuls of apple cider vinegar. Test for the setting point in the usual way. Dollop of it on a saucer, let it cool, and if it forms a skin, as this has, yep, there it is, it's now ready to go into hot sterilised jars. But there's one little job to do before you put it in the jars, and that is to add in some freshly chopped sage leaves. have the final product, still very hot, but it's great with cold meats, particularly cold pork, but you can use it with things like cheese as well. Well, it's the early hours of Sunday the 31st of August and we're heading off to get Hinky, our golden Guernsey goat. We've got our official paperwork and we've got checkbook, and it's about how far is it? Only about 5 or 6 miles to get there, I think, so maybe a bit more. Less than 10 miles to go, so see you at the other end. That was easier said than done.
Home. And maybe I'll come and see you next Saturday, if that'll be alright.
Or you just wanting to take it?
Well, as you can see, we're back onto milking the goat. This is our first milking of Pinky here at our new home in our goat paddock, and it's at the moment for us it's a slow process, but hopefully we're going to get better at it. And that's it for self-sufficient in Suburbia for the summer, and we'll be back in our next edition when hopefully we'll be doing an awful lot of milk recipes. So see you then.